The number 12 UNC Pembroke Braves football team won its regular season finale to get into the NCAA Division II football playoffs. Full coverage of that game and the playoff berth is coming up next on the Black and Gold Report. The men's basketball team began its regular season by splitting a pair of games against Lenoir-Rhyne and Catawba at the PBC SAC Challenge last weekend. The Braves are back in action today at home against Winston-Salem State. Tip-off is scheduled for 1 p.m. The women's basketball team also tipped off its regular season this week with games against Coker and Fayetteville State. Next week, UNCP women's basketball travels to UNC Greensboro for an exhibition contest before the Braves' home opener versus Wingate on November 27th. UNCP wrestling is split up this weekend. Some of the team is in Raleigh for the Wolfpack Duels and Wolfpack Open, while others are in Ferrum, Virginia for the Star City Open. Finally, UNC Pembroke Athletics is hosting a Hurricane Matthew relief drive, and donations are being accepted in the Jones Center building on campus. For more information, visit uncpbraves.com. The Black and Gold Report starts now. Welcome to another episode of the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi, a show all about UNC Pembroke athletics. I'm Cameron Songer, and this week we talk UNCP football as the Braves are into the NCAA playoffs for the third time in program history. We also have a special video feature for you. But first, let's talk UNCP football. I'm joined in the studio by UNCP head coach Shane Richardson. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Cam.
The game last Saturday certainly wasn't a high-scoring affair as the Braves slipped by Concord 19-18. What were some of your big takeaways from that one?
Yeah, I think it was a game that we were coming off a bye, and you go against an opponent that only has 2 wins on their record, and I think the natural tendency is to become a little bit complacent, and you kind of overlook that, and you almost assume that you should beat them, and you start kind of listening to other people talk. And I think a little bit of our team, they were a little bit a victim of that, and we allowed that to kind of maybe affect us a little bit too much. Offensively, we did not get in a rhythm. It was it was just bare bones out there. It just wasn't clicking for us in the passing game. We couldn't get the run game going. Fortunately, the run game came alive there at the end when we really needed it, and so that was good to see. But I thought Matt Davis was tremendous, as he has been all year. Defense, phenomenal. Only gave up 1 touchdown, really, and the other points actually came off a pick 6 and a safety. And so I thought defense really played lights out. Matt Davis was lights out, and I think offensively, it's something where I look at that and say, we have played well all season long. We've been able to put up points all season long. One bad game does not equate that the sky is falling and we have to change a bunch of stuff. And so we just got to get back on track, and we got to fix some things that we saw on Saturday and make sure that we're coming back with great confidence this week.
The game came after a bye week for your team. Do you think that had anything to do with the outcome?
I think that was part of it. When you get out of a routine, you just kind of start to, you practice a little bit differently. You think a little bit different thoughts. Your guard is naturally let down, I think, and so when you have to gear back up for an opponent, you've got, it takes a lot of emotional, psychological stamina to be able to do that. And so I think that had maybe a little bit to do with it. Although I think our bye week was very smart in the way we used it. I think that our guys just probably needed to be a little bit more focused on the task at hand. There's a buzz about the playoff talk and all that was going on, and we've got to be able to really control those really thoughts and be able to make sure that we're focused on the task at hand.
Let's jump into the action now. Starting with the first quarter, UNCP was able to strike first after a bad snap by Concord on a punt allowed your team to strike first with good field position. What was the energy like?
Yeah, it was great starting right away, and I felt really good about that. We were able to defer after we won the toss, and so I like to be able to put the defense out there, and so I think it always gains you a possession if you can take advantage of that first possession of the game defensively. And so you're going to get the ball after halftime, and so if you can make that first possession count, which actually we have not been able to do very well all year. This one was very good for us, and so that felt really good, and I thought probably our team noticed that as well, and so we were able to jump on that, and fortunately we came away with a few points there, but we got to be able to put the ball in the end zone when we're that close down there as well, and so we'll keep working on that.
The Braves' next offensive sequence after they went up 3-0 resulted in a pick-6 and a Concord lead, but then the play of the game, the ensuing kickoff, Trey Chandler going 98 yards for a kickoff return for a touchdown. Just talk about that play. What went right?
I think Trey Chandler he's little, and that allows him to be quick to some holes and to scoot through some things, and hard to see sometimes. And so he's very quick and shifty and bursty, and that helps him to kind of get through some of those spaces. I think our guys were very physical. We knew that they were going to kind of overplay us and shift us to one side there. And so we tried to bring it back to the opposite side, and fortunately Trey is fast enough to be able to get through there, and BJ Bunn was leading the way blocking and did a great job on just blocking for him, and we were able to escort him to the end zone, and it was really good to see that.
That was one of the very early plays of the game. There was still a lot of football left to play in that game, a very back and forth affair. We'll talk more about it after this timeout. We'll be right back on the Black and Gold Report.
Braves fans, season tickets for the 2016-17 home basketball season are on sale now, and premium chairback seats for the Peach Belt Conference's most electric environment can be purchased for as little as $70. This season's package includes 14 men's games and 13 women's games and can be purchased by calling 910-521-6361 or visiting uncpbraves.com/tickets.
Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. I'm Cameron Songer, joined once again by UNCP football coach Shane Richardson as we talk about this last game, the regular season finale, a win against Concord for UNCP football. And as we move towards halftime, Concord scored 10 straight, but the Braves were able to get back into it. A pair of Matt Davis field goals tied the game at 16-16 at halftime. What were some of the things that were working and weren't working out there in the first half?
Well, I think Matt Davis was working, that's for sure. He had joked about being able to kick a 67-yarder with the wind in pregame. And so he kept telling me during the game, hey, Coach, if we need to go from anywhere around the 60 mark, I'm good. And so, I kind of laughed and we kind of joked about it a little bit. But he was very confident. He did have a gust of wind. And if we had anything around that 60 mark, I probably would have put him out there. And so he's been great all year long. And so I really felt good about his performance, and I think going along with that, every time we got 3 on the board, we were able to just kind of chip away and make sure that we hung in there, because I think sometimes the psychological battle is you look at the scoreboard, and if you're down by 2 scores or a whole complete touchdown or whatever the case may be, there becomes a little bit of a mentality on the sideline. And so I think with Matt being able to chip in 3 points here and there, it kept us alive. And so I think that was really important. Defensively, I thought we did struggle in the first quarter, and they were running some gadget trick plays and some things that were kind of just going all around the field, and they were able to hit some stuff on us, and I think after the first quarter we kind of settled in and were able to get a little bit more of a beat on them, and I was really proud of the way our defense bounced back after the first quarter. On offense, I think it just took them all day to try to find their groove and try to find some sort of rhythm, and unfortunately they struggled a little bit. And the great thing about that is at this point in time, being able to get into the playoffs, we're able to take that game, and I anticipate our players are going to be extremely focused, extremely motivated by the lack of performance on the offensive side from Saturday, and be able to take that into this week in the first round.
The score remained tied through the third quarter and into the fourth when the Braves went ahead on another Matt Davis field goal, his, I think, 4th of the game. Mm-hmm. How were the nerves on the sideline as UNCP tried to hang on for the win?
Honestly, I feel like we've been in situations, and maybe not down to the wire necessarily all year long, but I feel like our team has been just really close situations. We might be behind, we may be just ahead, the momentum might be shifting or slipping or anything like that. And I feel like our team has always had just a very resilient perspective on the game, and the sideline stays true to who they are. And I think offensively, defensively, special forces, we just try to continue to coach and play and perform one play at a time, stay focused on your job, play your best this play, and I think after a while, if you just continue to persevere through some of those emotional ups and downs and swings of momentum, you're able to pull it out, and I think that's what you saw on Saturday. And so I've been really proud of our team for really taking advantage and thinking and training that way all year long.
So UNCP winning that game against Concord 19-18 with the win UNCP into the NCAA Division II football playoffs. It was announced Sunday the Braves are the 5 seed, will travel to Georgia to take on the number 4 seed Valdosta State. What was your reaction to that news?
Yeah, I think I was very excited. I'm excited for our program, excited for our players, our coaches, everybody that has a hand in the program. Everybody that works so hard at this thing, including yourself, Cameron. I mean, it's congratulations to you, to everybody, all the way from the chancellor, all the way to Dick Christie, and everybody that cheers us on every Saturday. And so I think it's fantastic for everybody that's involved. Now, with that being said, honestly, I want our team to get to a place where this is an expectation, and I don't say that arrogantly at all, and I certainly want to take in this time because I think you need to enjoy it and you need to appreciate it, and we certainly are thankful for it. But I think there's 2 types of thought processes that can go on here. Some teams are happy and excited just to be in the playoffs and to make it this far, and then other teams, I think, have a little bit more of a business mentality of staying focused on what they're trying to do each and every week, and they want to win in the playoffs and they want to play their best in the playoffs, and they're focused on trying to advance and to be their best. And so I don't want to be a team that's just happy to make the playoffs and one of the 28 teams that are left, and I don't want that to be good enough. I want to stay focused. I want our guys to know that this is an expectation for our program, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we get out of round 1 and get on to round 2.
The Braves are 9-1 on the season. It's the 4th time in program history that's happened in just 10 years, but this is the first time against an all Division II schedule. What does that say about the state of the program?
I think it's healthy, and I think we've come to a place where we don't necessarily have to schedule different divisions to try to pick up a win or to make it a more manageable schedule or anything like that. I think taking on a full Division II schedule this year was something that we needed to do, and I think it just shows the growth and the maturity of our program, and I think we're in a good place, and we need to be able to continue to do that and to be able to step up to good programs that we play against. And this year we played against a lot of them, I thought, and a lot of them that have history with the playoffs and with the NCAA tournament. And so I think it was good to see our guys be able to go through a full schedule like that and really go 9-1 against all those guys and step up to the challenge.
We'll be right back with more from UNCP football.
When I was visiting colleges, I was nervous. When I got to this campus, I knew that this was it. I'd found a new home.
The classes are small, so it's very personal. When you go to a class, usually when you walk in, you've already been with those people or worked with those people in other classes.
We're a big family with a lot of history. Here, I meet people from around the world. We know that starting here,
we can go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report, joined once again by UNCP football coach Shane Richardson. As your team gets ready to go on the road one more time now in the playoffs now, win or go home situation. Your team was 4-1 on the road this year after last season going 1-4, a huge departure. What's been the biggest difference?
I think 2 things, leadership for one, and just the maturity and growth as a team. We took a look at it last year. We had about a third of the team on last year's trips that had never traveled, never stayed in a hotel before with our football team. And so they just didn't know how to do that. They didn't know the routine. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it took them a little while to kind of figure that out. This year, I think we got into a routine that was probably the second biggest thing. We found a good, just a routine that worked for us, and we tried to keep it consistent pretty much the whole time, and I think guys responded to it, and I think they just got comfortable with being able to, hey, this is how we do it when we go on the road. We had leaders and older guys that were able to kind of lead that charge, and everybody else had to fall in, and I think those two things really kind of just led to us being able to know that you know, there's no home field advantage when we can just focus on the things that are inside of us, and the focus on what we're supposed to do and who we are, and don't worry about the environment, don't worry about the things that are different, and making sure that we're staying focused on the main things that we need to do.
The opponent for this week's game is a good Valdosta State team. You don't get to number 4 in the region and the 4 seed without being a pretty good team. You last played the Blazers in 2014. What can you tell us a little bit about the matchup?
Well, I think they're a very good team, and like you said, when you get to this point in time, 28 teams left in the country, they should be the best ones, and they're going to be tough. They're going to be big, they're going to be physical, they've got great tradition there, and I think they're well coached, and so they're going to be a very formidable opponent. We've played there before. I think that bodes well for just having the confidence to go into that stadium again. We actually won there back in 2013. They had a very good team in 2014 when they came to our place, and so you know, they probably feel the same way. You know, they've got history with us. They've been able to have success against us, and you know, I think for us, we've got to just make sure that it's just another game in the season, and we don't want to blow Valdosta State up and make it too big. I think they're a formidable opponent, but I think they're very beatable, and if we do what we're supposed to do, we'll have great success against them, and I'm really looking forward to the matchup.
After about a month of eyeing the polls, watching the scoreboard for what other teams in the region are doing, it's finally time for the postseason. Is that, at this point, a relief? What's kind of the emotion like?
I think, you know, when you're in the off season, when you're training, when you spend all that time preparing for things like this, you kind of dream and envision yourself, oh, you know, you're playing for a national championship, and that's what we're doing right now. This would be the first round of a total of 5 that you need to do to be able to win and be the last guy standing. And so this is certainly one of those things where you kind of get re-energized, you know, for. And so the season can be long, but when you go 9-1, week in and week out, you're playing for something. And you want to put together a good resume to be able to sit at this position to say, okay, here we go. This is a time to be able to cash in and take advantage of what's to come, and hey, to be one of the last 28 teams out of a total of 160 teams in Division II, we're really excited to have this chance, and we want to take full advantage of it.
Looking at the way the bracket kind of shook out in the region, it's a tough road to continue moving. I know you're probably just thinking one game at a time. You have to, at least in the back of your mind, be thinking the next game would be a number 1 seed, North Alabama. They'd be well rested, but that's a team that you played last year at their place, didn't go the way you hoped. Is revenge on the mind there and trying to get to that next level?
Well, it's like you said, we want to focus on Valdosta for sure and make sure that we take it one game at a time, and you know, do that the right way, because if that doesn't go well, then who cares about what happens next week? But you know, we're in that side of the bracket with UNA, and obviously they're a great team and great program, and we've had history with them. We've never beaten them. We went to their stadium last year and you know, did not play very well, and they had a great team then. And so there's a lot of things that I think we could use if we get to that point. But I certainly don't want to look that far ahead, and I want to make sure that our guys are focused on Valdosta State and doing what we need to do to just play well and to play 4 quarters of our game.
One game at a time. Thanks for joining us today, Coach, and
Absolutely.
good luck this weekend.
Thanks a lot, Cameron.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after these messages on the Black and Gold Report.